Hey guys, it's Katie again, and today I'm going to show you how to make memory wire cuffs. For anyone that doesn't know what a memory wire cuff is it's a bracelet that goes on your arm like this, slides right on, and it's just made up of lots of individual coils of bracelet memory wire put together. And there are a lot of different variations of this that you can do if you want to do spacer bars or whatever, but I'm just going to show you a simple way to do one like this today. So let's go over those materials that we're going to need to use. You'll need a chain nose plier, a flat nose plier, a memory wire cutter, and a snub nose plier, round nose plier, bracelet memory wire, 18 gauge wire, and a cutter, and beads. These are metallic glass crystal beads, but you can use any kind of bead that you want. All right, so you have to have a special cutter to work with memory wire. And this is a great kit that comes with both the cutter and the looper that will make you a loop at the end. And this is memory wire here, and it's basically just a long slinky type material. It's made of steel, and so don't use your normal cutters on it or it will ruin them. And it comes in lots of different colors. You can get ring memory wire bracelet, but I love this antique bronze color, so that's what I'm going to use today. And what I'm going to do is cut 9 coils that are all the same length. So you just want to start at the end and cut where they overlap just a bit. Because you can see we're going to be looping the ends of them later, and you just want them to barely overlap when you put them on your wrist. That is 1 coil. And honestly, I'm not gonna measure these out perfectly right now because you don't have to till later in the project, but you want them to be generally the same length. Here's another look at the approximate length of each coil. Just overlapping about 2 inches, roughly. So now I've cut all 9 coils and I am ready to start making loops. So with your snub nose plier, you'll see there's a little, one side smaller, one size larger. And this will dictate the size of your loop on the end of your bracelet. You could also use a round nose plier to do this trick, but this is available with the cutter, so that's what I use. But I learned using my round nose plier, so it's up to you. And I'm going to use this small loop. We're going to do the same thing to every coil at this point. So on all 9 coils, you will make a loop on one side. So grab at the very end of your memory wire and roll away from the grain, away from the curve, and just make a loop. I often will make a double loop if I have enough memory wire, just to ensure that it's closed and everything's good. So do that to all 9 pieces. Now that we've made a loop on each coil, we are going to trim the tails so that they are all exactly equal. This is the part I was telling you at the beginning where you can measure them together now and get them more exact. So I'm just going to kind of stack them, and I'll probably pick the shortest one to measure on. This is just 3 of them. I'm going to cut those all together to be the same length. And then I'll use one of those to measure the rest, and they'll all be the same length now. and they will be overlapping just about 1/4 of an inch now. So now these are all the same size and you can start stringing your beads on. So you'll just string all the way around each coil, and just like we did the first loop, you'll use your snub nose plier to roll it back. With the beads of your choice, we're gonna start stringing. So just cut your strand open and put them on. Sometimes when I'm stringing, I like to pick up as many as I can and hold them together to make things go faster, rather than just do one by one. Just makes everything go a little bit faster sometimes. So once you're almost to the end, you're gonna wanna just leave yourself enough to make a loop on the other end like you made the first time. And if you do the double loop like I did, you're gonna wanna leave about this much, probably about 1/2 inch. So kind of hold your beads down, and with your snub nose plier, we're gonna make another loop just like we did before. And now you've done one coil. So just do that 8 more times, and then I'll show you how to connect them all to create your cuff. Now you've got all your pieces. Let me show you how to connect them all to finish your cuff. Get your 18 gauge wire, your cutter, snub nose plier, gather your coils, and decide how you want them to line up for your cuff design. Okay, so these are still unconnected, but this will give you a guide to how long you need to cut this piece of wire. You want your piece of 18 gauge wire to extend about 1/2 inch on either side of your cuff before you cut it. So I'm gonna hold my spot and cut it with my cutter. And I'm gonna do that one more time. You're gonna need 2 pieces this exact length. With your snub nose plier, you're going to make another loop, just like we did on the coils, on both of these pieces. Let's just roll it back. And I'm not going to do a double loop on this one. Okay, the next part is where we're gonna start stacking. And you're gonna want to have a few extra of your beads laying around to stack in between them to give them space. So I'm just gonna pull these over. And since I used different size beads in my cuff, they range from 4 to 8 millimeter, I'm going to kind of use the different sizes of beads to determine how much space needs to be in between them. Like bigger beads need a little more space so they don't cram up on the cuff. So you can kind of just eyeball that. I'm gonna slide on a bead. I'm gonna start with a little one and then stack one on, and then slide another bead on. Gonna go with another little one, since my next row is going to be little too. And then slide on another coil, bead, coil, bead, coil, you can see how that's starting to stack up really nicely. And as I get to my bigger coils, I will add bigger beads in between. Once you get to the end, you'll add one last bead before making the other loop. So make sure everything sits okay and not too pushed together. And you will cut your wire here just about a ½ inch beyond that last bead with your cutter. Make sure though that nothing falls off the end, because that's an easy place to get lost right there. So just keep holding on to that. And then actually I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter because I'm making a loop that size here. And with my snub nose, again, just make a little loop. So now that whole side is held together and it's not going anywhere. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side with the other piece of 18 gauge, starting with a little bead. And just start filling in those bead, coil, bead, coil. Okay, so now I'm done stringing my 18 gauge wire, and I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side. Using my cutter, just cut about, leave a little bit less than ½ inch. And with your snub nose plier, roll it back. And I'm just going to hold that. Remember, you want to make the loop going the same way as the one on the other side. And once you've done that, you've finished. All right, let's go over the tools you're gonna need one more time. Memory wire, large bracelet, a cutter, round nose plier, chain nose plier, flat nose plier, memory wire, cutter, this is an essential tool, snub nose plier, beads, and 18 gauge wire. Thank you guys so much for watching and learning how to make this memory wire cuff. Speaking of memory wire, what's your favorite jewelry memory? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you're interested in buying any of the tools, check out the description below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our new videos.